AnySquared Spotlight Art Talks highlight member and friend artists of all ages and experiences. This week's Art Talk spotlights Flash ABC. Welcome everyone to our AnySquared Spotlight. This week we're so excited to have our very old friend Flash ABC on the Spotlight. And we met Flash long before AnySquared existed. I met Flash in Neighborhood Artists in Logan Square, and the first time I saw him, he was showing me a whole notebook of photos. I think that Flash will be talking about his history and talking about projects he's worked on and things like that, and I don't have to talk about those because we've collaborated on so many things as AnySquared, and he's part of AnySquared, and we've done a lot of events together. So without further ado, welcome Flash. This is your talk.
Hello everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. What we're going to do is show a little bit of my photography, and that's what we're going to focus on, because I feel as I am a photographer first before I was a documentarian, before I was a graffiti artist. The first camera that I was given was when I was 15 years old, out of 8th grade, and I ended up documenting some of the first graffiti pieces in Logan Square and Chicago. So I'm very proud of that fact. And right now we're going to go into a slideshow and show you that. I'm trying to minimize Tracy's screen. And let's go in here. There we go. ABC history. I gotta find the first ones. I should have learned how to minimize Tracy's screen.
Do the speaker view because you're talking and I'm not.
How do I do that?
Top right corner.
I just needed to minimize. Let's just keep going. Let's preview this one, and then we can start the slideshow. So most of my photography, can everybody see?
Yes.
Okay. Most of my photography was done with a 35mm camera, and it was done very early in the graph scene. Moving to the beginning of the slideshow, where this is Logan Square when I grew up. This is where mostly I ran around with my friends. As you see, we even got it where hate falls off the rooftop, where we did the Georgie rest in peace. So this is all what I did as a 15-year-old, but I didn't know that it was would change what we see as graffiti art now. So we started early in apartment buildings. You know, we did a spy versus spy, folks versus people. This was done in Scene's house in 1984. And every apartment that Scene would have, we would always tag up, you'll see, but I was there documenting it. Here's another one on 24 North Albany. People just started to, as you can say, give us spray paint to do stuff. We would do spray mostly all of our first piece. This is one of our first piece that we did on the rooftop on the blue line. This is a Joey, rest in peace. And like before this is what we did. This was ABC. We mostly did rest in peace for people that were getting shot. Before this, that was mostly all of our pieces. After this, we started hitting the lines and doing pieces like this one that you see, where we started to put up messages, and we started to do productions like this. This is the Scene Taken Trickster on the Hollander, which is also on Logan Square. This is also a scene and take in 1985. So as you can see, there's no buff. There's no background. It's the cement. So I'm privileged to have been, documenting even before the buff, which is now, a standard. This is the Mega Mall, which is no longer there. This is a scene take. and seen and taken. This was done by the whole crew in 19, and we did do a. It took all of us to make it. But we put our friend's name up, and we went on. And when I started to take the train, I started to notice the people turning their head. So that's when I started to take the camera on the train line. This is the ABC UPS done at the Damon and Blue Stop, done by Take Two and um, another Rip 66, who later would turn ABC. This is at the Blue Line. That wall has tons of paint on it now. This is the first time that graffiti artists get it. This right here is one of my first photography of a full piece in 1984. It was done by, at that time, I didn't even know who did it, but this is like the first graffiti piece that I ever saw that came into Logan Square. This was the Logan Square tunnel located on Campbell and Logan Boulevard, and it crossed in between, and people will go in there. But this is the first graffiti piece I ever saw, and it influenced me, the eye with the candle and everything. It was something totally different than what we were used to seeing, because what we were used to seeing was, you know, black and blue, black and red, and black and yellow. This wanted to go in some order, but as you see, mostly all of this is us bombing in Logan Square and on the rooftops of Logan Square, on Milwaukee Avenue, and anywhere that there was an elevator shop. This was a rested piece done on Diversey Sawyer. And like I said, most of our first pieces were paid for by other gang members because of these people passing away. So, you know, when you see the crime statistics in Chicago, it was back then like that. It hasn't changed. This is, I wanted to stop here. This is like one of my best pictures and most historical pictures probably of Logan Square itself, because there's a timestamp. You can see what's showing on the theater. You know, Michael J. Fox, Teen Wolf. So that tells us when this piece was done. But this is also done by a legendary trickster who was a member of ABC, and we all helped him. DJ Nonstop just recently told me that he was one of the ones that was filling in the red. You know, he was Gizmo ABC. So we were kids. We were 15 years old, and everybody was having fun. This is another part of that panel. If you don't know, this is in the CTA terminal at Logan Square. And the whole panel had the Trickster, a Logan Square, and then the Windy City. And this sketch was done by a rival crew, Quick CTA. He had come up with the sketch and everything. And then when we came out there, you know, of course, in those days, everybody doesn't want to say, so he left. And we ended up finishing it up as a crew. Scene put the hole in the fence to imitate what, you know, what we were going to do, which was get in the yards. But most of my photography is rooftops. I tried to take pictures of the rooftop pieces because I thought that that was something that was never going to be seen. This is Graffiti Rocks and Scene's house. So everywhere I go, I always had my camera as a kid. Oh, I didn't rotate this one. Bad flash. This is me at the Eagle with my pink bikes, and I really held on to this photo so that people could see that we tried to get away from the gangbanging. If you look at his bike and you look at this bike, it's got white mags with blue tires. You know, we tried to stay away from the gang colors. We knew what they were about, and we tried to emulate a little bit of New York into it. This is also another piece done in another apartment on Whipple in Sacramento called Our Crib. This is Nightmare on a Yellow Tab, done on the Milwaukee wall. King of Cans done in everywhere. And I'm gonna leave it here for this one. Let's see if I can get him. This is my friend Scene. Yeah, I followed around, and he's the one that taught me how to spray paint and showed us. This is them at the Chicago stop on the Blue Line before the tags were changed to Blue Line. And as you see, this is the A station. Logan Square and all the Blue Line used to have the A and B spots. So on the weekends, the A spot would be empty, and we would go down there and bring our boombox, break dance and everything. And as you see, we would do pieces. So We felt like we were part of a movement and we knew it, you know. Here's a jean jacket done by Scene. Here's another one, King of Cans. There's my friend Christopher. And that's what I said. Everybody got their little part on these walls when we were doing them. It wasn't just one or two person. It was like a whole group of people went out and did these pieces. Here's Flash with his guns, showing an old ABC. This was done by Scene. And we were taught by everybody. Here's B-Boy B, Take. And he's one of the first artists in Logan Square that tells us to, you know, stop gangbanging and let's go on and do this graffiti art that they're doing in New York. So to me, my neighbor across the street, he's very influential in what we perceive as graffiti. There's my sister, me, my family at the Logan Square stop. They're seen in the art crib. And that's Flash with actual hair. Nick Sasa on the 606. I try to put these in order, but somehow when it's slideshow time, it doesn't work. But as you see, these are mostly 35 millimeter that I've been scanning and restoring. And that's one of the things that I actually have been doing for other graffiti artists is taking these old 35 millimeters and scanning them at a high res and restoring. So this is me running around in between 1982 and 1986. Anything after this, you know, I'm no longer there. I'm in the military. All right, I thought I straightened it out. See what I mean about the bike being pink and lavender and everything? I'm wearing jam shorts. This is a perfect example of how Chicago doesn't feed off of the New York, where they're wearing bell bottoms and different type of clothing. We inherit our own clothing style from both coasts. From the East Coast, I'm wearing jam shorts and Vans, and then I'm wearing belt buckles and brass knuckles. You know, it's a weird. Chicago makes its own culture, which is kind of funny. That's why I said the straight-legged pant, it was invented in Logan Square, but with belt buckles. So that's what I did. And then I went away to the military. And when I started to come back, I'm going to go into these publications that I have. And one of the things that I noticed, let me do the ascending so it stays in order. One of the first books that I was in and that I didn't even know was Spray Can Art. This is the first graffiti book about Chicago. And here is the Trickster piece, but here's the Windy City piece again. And much credit to Trickster. He got us in the book, but this was done by other, and this is what happens when you're not around. The publication gets it wrong. So I've tried to come back strong since 2003 and show that in the history of American graffiti, if you go to the Chicago section, which I had scanned properly, my first photo shows. Now you saw the one shot where scenes next to it. So I only supply people with like 10% of my photos. And when they came in, I gave them 10%. But here's another shot of the scene in Chris at the Chicago Avenue. And I made sure, just as a photographer, I wanted to bounce the flash and catch the whole piece. Even at a young age, I knew that trying to get these shots in the tunnel, you know, you had to bounce the flash. But this is in that book, and it talks about Chicago. This is my picture down here, also on the bottom of the center page. So I'm pretty proud to have had in the first pages of the Chicago book about Chicago history is my photographs. Here's the Puerto Rico from the other graffiti crew, and here's the Nick Sasa graffiti that inspired us to get the 606 started again with our spaces. This picture actually helped us claim our spots when they try to come in and do the 606, where I told them, well, we've been painting here since the 80s. Can we have our spot? And they're like, really? Well, here's the flick. And that started, this photograph started the whole conversation again, where now we have a layout in there. All the publications that I've been in is this the Gretchen book this year. I'm very proud. She got me in there. Here's my graffiti pieces.
That was from Agitator Gallery.
Agitator Gallery,
yeah.
yes. So here's another one where I didn't even have to show up, where they called me and they asked me about a chase story. And where is this under? Here's my section in that book where I talk about me and my cousin getting chased. So there's, you know, you supply the people that, you know, that come to you. Many people come to, many artists get asked and they don't want to do it. And then they realize, here's another book that came out. So they did the history of American graffiti, but they had enough that they did a second book, Tools of Mischief. And we came out in that section also, the Goofy piece, which is one of my favorite pieces, because we didn't put our names or nothing. We just put up a statement, and it was the first piece on the Hollander, and it carries a lot of history. So those are the publications that I've been in and I'm proud of. And let's get into the wall pieces. I try to do just to show all the wall pieces, but it was a lot. So I came back in 2003, started doing spray paint, and I was invited by Rude from DC5, and this was my first piece. I did a Diana for Mother's Day. I didn't think I deserved to put my name up, and I wanted to make sure that my wife knew. So yeah, we went, and then I took the kids over there, made sure that we got pictures with them, because that's a time step, and they're now 21 and 30, and they're, you know, this is life, you know, my art shows my life. This is a very important picture of all my photographies, because this represents our return. We started coming back and organizing ourselves, even with DJ Third Rail, Take Two, and they had a forum, and then we created our own forum. But this is 59th and Western in 2003, Memorial Day weekend, where over 200 graffiti artists got together, and we started to come back out. After this, I would paint as much as I want on any wall on the south side. Here's the piece that I did that weekend, and here's the production. So then I started to try to bring it north, and I had this wall on. This is the wall that I did that year also with the Cooperative Image Group, which was a friend of mine named Mike Bancroft, who tagged Milk, and he had a nonprofit, but he had the spirit of always wanting to do graffiti. So this is actually Northern California right now. This building doesn't exist, and neighborhood doesn't even look like this. We call it Humboldt Heights now with all the condos right there, but this is what I did in 2003, and my idea was to put color images with black and white graffiti letters. I knew that that's what I wanted, and that's why the wall pops, because I wanted the graffiti artists to paint everything in black and white, and I knew it would pop out. It was fun to do. Started to go to Evanston and paint. I started to go around all the parts of the city. This is 23rd and Spalding. This is Belmont and Monticello. Anywhere that they would let us paint, we were painting. And we painted a lot with the community. This is in Indianapolis when Made You Look took me out there to paint. They showed me how the graffiti even has grown over there. This is behind Crawford Steel. Oh, there I am with the mask trying to cover. This was a piece I did 2003 with Cooperative Image Group. This is the back of Crawford Steel. If many know, these pieces don't last long. They last like an hour. You put it up and you're done. And somebody will come off the tracks and take it off. So this was me and Chumley in the early days of there. This is 19th and Peoria, called Boogie Park, where we painted. You see the abandoned church in the background. So I always try to get the spot of where I painted. A lot of people paint there now, and it stops and it starts. This is for a garden in the city where they made us do picket fences. And this is me in Chumley at Crawford. So between 2003 and 2008, before I got Project Logan, I would paint anywhere that anybody would invite me, which is why one of the reasons that Project Logan exists. Project Logan exists because I was invited onto many walls and was taught what graffiti art is and what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to represent. So going into these places where graffiti was allowed made me hungry even more. I really did get hungry. As you see, you start to progress, you start to get better, and you start to do more that you want to start putting it up. Wake up, Abro! I got you. I love you. But I got none but love for you. He's writing down my part. I thought he was sleeping. But as you see, anywhere I was given the opportunity, even the Barrio Fest, meeting the styles, anywhere, and every time it was like a learning process. Can I say that every time that I painted on the South Side, it was like a learning process again. It was like opening up your eyes again. Because if you don't know, I stopped in 1987, and then I didn't come back until 2003. And when I came back in 2003, I was invited out to the South Side. And I could paint whatever I want on the South Side. But every time I came to the North Side, I wasn't allowed. So as you see on your screen, I paused a piece. This is a piece done at Crawford Steel, 35th and Albany. My friends thought we were Logan Square legends, and my good friend Spec, so he threw up Logan Square legends. And then my friends Scene and Flash, we came in and did these pieces. And that's what I'm saying, that this community is about unity, because even before, you couldn't do something like this on the South Side. You know, you're talking about Logan Square wall on the South Side. And that's why I always have respect for anything that's done on the South Side, because they really opened up the art and opened up my eyes, that every time somebody wants to tell me not to do graffiti on the North Side, I fought it. I smacked it down. I didn't appreciate it. There's a few more of the pieces. This is 25th and 23rd, 25th and Spalding. It has a Stop the Violence that we put on there. And I think it's still on there. And the day that we put Stop the Violence on, we were actually, we were driving away, and some kids came up to us and pulled out guns on us and told us what were we doing in their neighborhood. So a mural very well needed in that neighborhood. I want to stop right now and see if anybody has any questions about any of the art or any of the images that they've seen in the last 2 slideshows before we go on, or 3 slideshows.
Yeah, Flash, where'd you get the spray paint?
Next question. No, the spray paint always, you know, for as long as I want to say, I've been supported by Momentum Art Technologies. They support our events, our writers bench, and there's somebody that I've worked with since the beginning of progressing this art. When I say I went to Indianapolis with me, that's who I went with. And they're one that when you go over there, any person is taught how to use a spray paint can. They're really good, and I always recommend. That's where I always get my spray paint. I stopped trying to get the weak spray paint from the hardware stores, because as you see, we like to make our colors pop and be very vibrant. And this spray paint that's being made for us is customized to us. So I'm happy that Teal goes out there and tries different brands, and they even have the water base that they're using, which is good for the environment. So everybody's trying different things, and that's why I appreciate him, because he actually explains what's going on.
I would love to hear from you on like the evolution of the spray paint cans you use, or the evolution of your style over time.
Well, That's kind of hard. Well, the evolution of the spray paint can, is a whole history in itself because it actually starts in Logan Square, and it's used at the World's Fair, and the machines are at a friend of ours, Tracy's friend, that we know that they had the machines there. So to me, there's so many companies that were just pushed out after there was a whole can industry that people collect spray paint cans from Chicago companies now. You go online and you look, and there's people collecting spray paint cans that were manufactured here years ago.
I'm just yeah, I'm curious because I'm watching your style evolve over the years, and then I'm wondering if you're using different paints or different experimentation.
And this whole, and that's what it is. As you see, it's been an experimentation. This coming back into graffiti from 2003 on, I'll admit it has been an experimentation. And as you see, everybody's with the internet, everybody's seen it. Everybody has seen me evolve. Where I've been taught by Tizo, Pango, retaught, and sat down and learned how to sketch again. This isn't done overnight. If you actually look up the AnySquared mural with the trains that Tracy grabbed my book and scanned, there's buildings in there that are dancing. That comes from B-Boy B many years ago, in which our proposal for the mural in Logan Square, we wanted dancing houses because we heard house music on the boulevard. And we thought that the houses, and then here we are. Tracy grabs it and puts it on, and I'm very proud. I see that mural. Nobody knows that's my longest standing mural, and it represents my neighborhood.
I got a question. You said that you were influenced by both the East and the West Coast, I believe so, or which coast do you believe had the most influence on your group, on you?
Well, New York, of course, because of the trains and the hip hop movement, it is the establishment of what graffiti is. But I'll tell you this: you look at some of the, and even in some of the production people that are doing it now, when you see people doing that calligraphy type of graffiti, that I'm trying to remember the artist on the South Side's name, but he's come to my wall. That comes from the West Coast, because they go over there, and Zor is another one that was very influential, where he goes down there and he starts opening up the channels where people are talking back and forth. So when I never liked the hardcore hip hop, I like some of it, but I like the house music. So I gravitated towards different music, like from LA, and then I saw what the BMX movement was doing. So I owned like the first freestyle magazine. I wasn't a break dancer, but I could do a lot of tricks on BMX bikes. And that was because I would get the BMX magazines, and that gravitated to me when I saw the graffiti on the ramps, and I started to order Bermuda shorts and Vans, and and that's why I say we're influenced by both. By being in the Midwest, I think we should take advantage and understand that we got influenced by both sides of the country, and it still shows to this day in the art form that's out there.
That's interesting. I know you spoke about your interest in house music, and I'm sure everybody in Chicago, I mean, it's the birthplace of house music. Were there any kind of collaborations with DJs or parties where you would kind of, how they do sometimes in Chicago, where they kind of have like a graffiti party, or was there any connection of that, of the people?
I always tell people there was the Janelle's was a Fullerton and Pulaski, and the majority of people that went there, they went to go see the battles between the dance crews, your Culitos, Imported Taste, and All Stars. And that music is like what people want to say is the mix of the good disco music, taking that little good beat of disco music and then putting that house hip hop beat. And by the end of it, I can guarantee you that there's breakdancers dancing with All Star, with Culitos, and there's this productions that are being done with breakdancers. So when I see that influence on stuff like that, on that culture, that's why I say Chicago made its own culture, because there's guys breakdancing to house music, you know, and they don't care, and they're battling each other, and it was a great movement. I love being there. I see a lot of those friends of mine now that are still DJs. Mike Swaz is one of them. So we've been very influential. Oh, I happen here to my back screen.
Okay. All right.
Okay, but it's been very influential growing up on this boulevard, because I got to see, you know, a lot of these house parties that people are now talking about. I saw Ralphie Rosario at a house party. You know, I went to Schurz High School. They told us where the house party would be that weekend, and that's the thing that I want to say. There was so many kids eager to get away from the gang banging that they started to create graffiti crews, house crews, party crews. The Mozart party people were in my neighborhood. We went to their parties. So there's this movement in the 80s that if you saw the slideshow, we were surrounded by gangs. It was in Schubert and Spalding. You had 20 gang members hanging out there. Diversey and Kedzie was Stylers. Everywhere there was gangs. And so we as a graffiti group got to rotate around that. And when we started to dress like that, even the gangbangers understood. And it was like a safe haven to be involved in graffiti and hip hop.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Jerry says, East Coast or West Coast, if you had to pick one.
It's not fair, man, because it's not fair because I've been to neither one, so I'll let you know when I've been there to both, because that's where Flash was going. I do want to see both before I would make that judgment.
I don't have a question, Flash, but when you're saying jams and Janelles and all that, and A and B stops on the train, you're making me feel old. But yeah, I remember all your tags. I remember scenes. I remember tricksters. So you're taking me way, way back. I grew up here in Logan Square. So yeah, I identify. So I'm enjoying your talk.
And I enjoy what you're doing because, as we have grown, I come back and understand what I've done. I didn't know what I did. I can honestly say I went to the military and shut my eyes until 2003. And when I came back in 2003 and I saw this community, I was like, wow, I've really done something. And that's why I am the way I am. I've been revitalized, after, being in the military, and I'm a mechanical engineer. So I went on and became a family man. And when I came back and saw this art form in 2003, I was like, oh, wow, I was part of something. And I've been reborn and retaught. I can gladly say.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned I'm sitting at Unity Park, and I'm only half a block from Spalding and Schubert. So I was almost laughing when you started talking about Spalding and Schubert. I remember, the crew and gang that used to be on that corner.
And it's a shame, but I'll let everybody know Schubert and Spalding is Orchestra Albany, and if you go to Drummond and Kedzie, and this is how much I know my history. This is where the Logan Square train station used to stop, and there was a bar there called Zach's, and at Zach's, that's where Orchestra Albany performed. They were an actual salsa band. And it was a shame that they got shot up and they turned into a gang. And now if you go, Kenny Jam and Jason gets credit for that spot instead of, and that's what history is, because Kenny did, and here we are again, house music in Logan Square, where we have Kenny Jam and Jason used to spin there, and nobody knows because the place was burned down.
I got a quick question.
I know, and I know Ralphie was around the hood too. So, but.
Yeah. I thought Ralphie should have gotten. His name in Logan Square because his influential with the house music there and all the house parties. But we're
Maybe someday. Maybe someday.
oh he has his name up in Uptown now.
Oh, okay.
I got a quick question. You mentioned that a salsa band was shot up and they turned into a gang. Do you mind if I?
Yeah,
I don't.
it's called Orchestra Albany. They're called the OAs. There's probably some still around. Um, we used to go there in their neighborhood, and they had that controlled where you can get whatever you wanted, and you couldn't go in or out of that neighborhood unless they knew who you were. And there's a reason why there's a cul-de-sac there. There's a reason why a lot of those gangways are bricked up. I used to be able to go from one side of Schubert and Spalding and come out on the other side by Wrightwood, and nobody would ever see me. So all those it's strange to see it progress, and that's why when I'm asked about gentrification, the good and the bad, I didn't want my kids to grow up in that kind of environment. So I understand why things change for the better.
Okay.
I got kind of a related question, a little heavy, maybe. I'll ask it at the end. I guess when I was growing up, the graffiti scene, seemed a lot like the gang scene. Like there was a lot of rival graffiti crews and a lot of violence and stuff. And I was wondering if you could, if you wanted to comment on, maybe some of the violence in the community.
And the problem with Chicago is that it's always been a gang city. And we're not even going to deny it. We're going to go back to 1920, where they allowed Capone and everybody to have these little mobs and everything. And it was the hardest thing to do, and of course they're going to go back to that. When you start taking away the spray paint and you start taking away the supplies and you start calling them, you start criminalizing them. If you're told you're a criminal 100 times, and you turn into the criminal. And that's the sad part about Chicago graffiti, that it was attacked. It wasn't, I wasn't progressed to nurture this art. You guys have seen the art shows and everything. What happened? This city in Logan Square specifically was attacked. It was attacked by its own politicians, where they had this ban on everything, and they let one guy write all the laws. And I have the documentation to prove it, because I am a Chicago history graffitian that had to study this and find out what happened. Because spray paint, it starts in Logan Square and it gets banned in Logan Square. It gets banned by our alderman, Mel. It's in the books. He takes pride in it. He's the one that took it all the way to the Supreme Court. We had to fight that. So then you had kids doing what? You remember the etching? How much everybody had etching? But they had nothing. They had nothing. When you take away nothing, they'll look for something else. And that's really what happened. This city attacked its artists to the fullest extent of the law, where people were actually prosecuted and did time, for doing art instead of nurturing it. And sometimes, that every day some kid's going to wake up and do vandalism. It's in the video games. It's in everything. It's in all of our culture. It's what you do in an urban environment. But to the point that when I look at what I could have been, I had to run away from these people. I had to go hide. I went to the military. Then I came back and I still wanted to draw, so I became a mechanical engineer. But when I came back in 2003 and people started taking me on trips like C3PO and Teal, they take me away and they say, no, look, this is what the art form has done. And when I saw what the Europeans had done, I was like, wow, we are so behind. And that's why you see me rotating the walls. And we are practicing for better things because we've been denied from the get-go. We've been denied since I was 15. And I'm 53. So there's generations and generations that have been denied. And if there's anything to look at, it's the kids from the 90s that had to fight the real system, the buff, that should be more recognized and seen that they kept this movement going. Because the 90s, you would put a tag on Milwaukee Avenue and you come around half an hour later and that tag would be removed. The CTA has a no tag ride, where if a CTA worker lets a tag ride, they used to find them. They used to dock their salaries. So it was a real war and a hidden war that when the history books say, you know, we've been denied the simple task of having spray paint.
So you mentioned the walls, and I had messaged you about this, and like right now, like the current alderman, he's like pushing this new development that's going to demolish the walls, and he tries to sell it as like this positive thing for the community because it's going to have like 8 affordable units, but it's still going to raise the rent for everyone else and like cause people to move out, and it's going to destroy the walls, and it's going to destroy part of like Logan Square culture.
I've been I actually been avoiding even talking about it because I knew it was coming, and I called the wall project because from the get-go I knew it wasn't going to survive. And all I really did try to do with that wall is to and what you say is decriminalize the spray paint can. You know, there's people out there that, like I said, the spray paint can, like I said, I put it on alderman's desk, and they look like I pulled out a gun, you know, and that's serious because that's somebody that's got power, you know, and the power that these aldermen have. We have more aldermen than any other city for our population, and I've avoided all 3 aldermen throughout all those years because I believe that, you know, the one time that we did try to bring an alderman to help clean up, they sent a city guy that started threatening us. So as far as the city is concerned, they run it like a corporation, and I avoid corporations. So I avoid everything with them. I put plenty of messages on that wall, and who knows, at the end, before they take it down, I'm with you. I'm gonna go put a message up. You know, this attitude that I lived in Logan Square since 1972, and my mom still owns the building where we are at Diversey and Whipple. And I did everything I could to move around her. If you look at my last 50 years of my life, I wanted to stay near my mom. So yeah, I rented. You know, I rented. And sure enough, it took me to the point that they pushed me out. I can't afford $1,500 for a basement apartment, you know. Whoever's making these decisions, you know, I do believe in rent control. If you're gonna come in, and my apartment is a perfect example that I moved there, and every year at Christmas, I get the increase of $100, you know, and by the time you just want to run away. So I made the personal choice of moving with my family, with my daughter. We're over here, like all others, Puerto Rican, and everybody from Logan Square and Humboldt Park. If you look at the numbers, you have 13,000 families that have been displaced in the last 5 years. Where'd they go? You know, where I am.
I think that like preserving these walls could be like a real like focal point for the community to organize around to stop like more of these developments coming in that are raising the rents.
It's who controls the property. I always go back to Wicker Park and everybody and Lincoln Park. You know, if you don't own the property and you don't do something with it, what are you gonna do? If I own Project Logan and myself, and I own that property, how do I get the money to pay the city that insane city tax? I gotta build. I gotta do something ridiculous because that's what the neighborhood is. And until we get any legend, but the city doesn't want to talk to its citizens. It only works with its corporation lawyers.
I'm gonna say one thing, that there is kind of like a survey that the alderman in the first ward is doing, and I hope everyone finds the survey. There's an article about the proposed new building, and I think that this alderman is not as bad as the former one, Chris. You know, but I think that he's looking for what people think who are from the area. Unfortunately, a lot of people who used to live in this area are gone. So, you know, yeah, and the link is shared in the chat if anyone wants to see the article. And then in that chat or in that article, there is a Google Doc that you can, you know, express your opinion if you have been affected by the fact that that building's getting torn down, you know.
So what is this, like affordable or something? Or
No, it's not.
never
It's
mind.
not.
Never
It's
mind.
yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, so like there's supposed to be 8 affordable units out of 56, which is like, I mean, there's going to be 8 affordable units, but then the rents are going to raise in like all the apartments nearby, right? So it's
Yeah.
going to be it's just going to displace more people, right? And like, yeah, I think that this is something that I want to help with organizing the community around.
Well, I'm down to do whatever. I see, you know, I've been friends with many of the AnySquared people, and but I've actually seen some of them tied up and trying to it's been like a lifetime fight for them now. Because I remember when the condos came into Milwaukee and California over there, and
The Towers of Doom.
yeah, and there was our neighbors that helped us with the dog park tied up, and you know, they had no reason to be there. They live all the way by the river.
People been protesting that all along.
Anything that they want to build is 7 stories and up, and they don't have any conversation with the community. They say they do, but they don't. Everybody's just coming in and building high. They'll have a conversation and brush you off.
Especially the last alderman, he was like that. Oh my God, he was terrible.
Taking that money and running. Okay, I have I'm gonna start showing. You want to?
Well, share. You gotta share the screen again. Like, so see at the bottom of the screen, you gotta hit the button.
So here we go. Share screen.
I took away the share screen because
thank you.
Because it was nice to have a chat with everybody.
Yes. So I'll do it again.
Okay. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Sure.
Perfect. And then just make it bigger.
So, as a graffiti artist, now we're going to get into my art, because I feel that that's something, some of the stuff that I skip. But as a mechanical engineer, I've already done, you know, art. I want my art to look as if a graffiti artist did it. So here's the family when we did a jean jacket show. We had a show called The Original Canvas, and that's what a graffiti artist does a jean jacket, and that's why it's called The Original Canvas, because the jean jacket is our original canvas. Here's mine's Logan Square, which I gave away as a gift to Obi, who won the first Logan Square graffiti battle back in 2010. This is probably the only piece that I have in here that is not done by me, but this is Felix Maldonado, and he did a self-portrait of me, and I was very proud. This is, back in 2004 or 5, and he shown it even up at Navy Pier, and I believe it's sold, and he's done other artists, but I really like this piece of me with the yellow hoodie. There's other collaborations that I've done. I try to mix my art with spray paint and photos. Doesn't always work, but back in we had a place on Elston Avenue where Unique used to have an art studio, and Risk and everybody, and we would do our own shows in there. And collaborate with people. We had one show called Unusual Suspects, where it was very popular because it was like the first graffiti show on Facebook. So everybody, yeah, a lot of people started coming. This was in the Boombox Gallery that I did the designs on top. I went and I got KLTA, an old school graffiti artist. We'll explain who he is later. Street artist, I want to say. Here's my Javi piece now framed up. As you see, it's an old school pic, but I would like for somebody to receive a picture that would look like as if a graffiti artist did it. I think that the graffiti artist needs to work with spray paint cans just to put it back in people's faces. I love to work with the spray paint can and put it on items like this with record, and because it feels like if it's a timepiece of me and my era where we used to play with records and we had spray paint cans. So it takes a lot of work with this because you have to actually cut the can in half and everything. There's more displays. This is in a show called Made in Logan Square. Oh, those are stickers that go out in the street. Pay no attention to the vandalism. This was at the Paint Paste and Sticker Show up in at the Cultural Center, where they took all my photos and did a collaboration of all the stuff that I did. Here's all the people that were in that, and all the crews that we had in that one little photo. This is how I developed canvas, the print for the 606 that I did for the t-shirts opening day, but this is the original canvas that I did with the idea that I knew people were going to grab that bridge and make it into their own. So as a graffiti artist, I had to be the first one. So I did this 7 years ago before they even developed the 606. I started to like to mix crank and bike parts into my graffiti just because I like to ride bikes, and I started to notice that this crank down here is a heart. It has five hearts, and I like that Chicago has different neighborhoods. So even in the future, I already see this crank where I'm going to do a mural and have every section of the city on different time. One's going to be Logan Square. So you start evolving your art as you start doing it on small mediums, just to go bigger with it later. My daughter and I lived at Cornelia. We used to see these hubcaps always by our neighborhood, and we would get mad. So one day I just decided to do them all, and we hung them up at Project Logan just so people could take them, and they disappeared. It's all with recycled spray paint, that old spray paint that was gonna get used, like you said, the end of cans. Here's another one where I'm liking to mix the crank and the graffiti letters, and then I like it to pop. So I'm cutting
Your
out.
3D ones are really cool in person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Flash, I got one of yours right here, though.
Ah, there you go, brother. My supporter, as you see, I like to give away my art to the people that support me. And as you see, the one that he's holding, it's got crank, it's got reflector, it's got the arrows. So I try to mix everything that I'm doing. If I'm involved in art, and I want my art to represent me. Show it up again, Versailles, one more time. There we go. See, it's got a reflector at the top of a spray paint can and everything. And this is just me experimenting all this summer, in pandemic. If you're an artist and you're stuck in pandemic and you didn't do art, you were never an artist, man. Because I can't sit around and not do nothing. It drives me nuts. Look at this is during pandemic. It's just me. These are wall pieces. This is a piece that I'll probably never do again because I won't be able to do it again. But these are wall pieces that I've cut out and restored of the wall, and I'm keeping them now. I'm not selling them. You want to buy them? Here's a staff piece, but like I said, my art will always represent what I'm doing. And these are pieces that I've done of the wall. I brought it home. I cut it out. After I cut it out, I put it in an oven and got them heated and pressed against another bag so that they would remain intact. And it has glue and everything. These are professional heavy pieces.
Plus, they have impressions of the wall.
If I give you one, it's because I love you. And I know that I've given to many people these pieces. But if you have one, it's because you touched me in a special way. And I know that these pieces will last a lifetime now. And they represent now 10 years worth of work. So here we are at the lip, Life in Progress, where we did show them. And it was the first time I showed them, and I only got to show them for a week.
Well, they were up for a little while, but no one got to see them except in July. And Lip is like our Life in Progress exhibit that we had at Hairpin. And I am planning.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a
Gold.
really cool exhibit. Yeah, well, the gold is cool, but
Well,
yeah. So the exhibit, we're gonna probably put out a catalog of that, and I'm gonna probably show close-ups of each of those pieces.
What you're seeing now is my pandemic art. I'm sitting here at home. I went to a model shop. I used to build model airplanes, and you know, I see the airplanes flying outside, and I really like. I was inspired by Teasel again to explore this because this is where I learned how to spray paint as a young kid, 12, 13. I used to go to Woolworth or J.C. Penney and get the little testers, and I would do model airplanes. The model shop was on Mozart and Diversey, and the kid that got the best model airplane could display it in the window for many years. So I started to do this because I like model building, and I like my art to represent me. So I've done a few of them. Here's another one. This is a collabo I did of just stuff that I have, you know. This is a banner I did for Frankfurt, a Puerto Rican festival. And then this is the trunk. Many people.
Can you go back to the collab slide? Because you went really fast.
I didn't want nobody to see it. No, no, everybody owns it. So
Okay.
as people give you gifts and stickers and everything, as you see, you have revised Beaumont. This is, if you actually see this is about 20 years worth of me just collecting flyers and graffiti stickers. You see the CMK crew, the Meaning of Styles, Concrete and Wave, Hearts and Mind. But I'm at times I am a graph hoarder where I end up coming home with all the flyers from the shows and everything that they try to get rid of, and this is what you get after it. You know, the wall at the bottom is the first time Take Two came out on a Made You Look wall on 22nd and Kedzie, and they had B-Boy B come in and look at that's how much space they left for B-Boy B that all he got to do was put a B. So graph is fun. The person that I gave this to, his name is Ralph Rizzo, and he lives out in the suburbs, and he's now taking a piece of Chicago history out to where he is, and he has a connection because, you know, he's been to these shows, he's seen all this. So this is what I do, you know. This is one of the best things I like to do. My daughter has a few of them that she's done, and it's inspired by her. I wanted to show this. Here's the. If you're gonna work for us, man, I can't help these kids. Were working all through the progress, so I came there. I was taking my art down through the lip show, so they received all the little flash art pieces. I really appreciate it. They have it forever, you know. I think that art should be given just because it's such a healing thing. Here we are with the foam pieces again. There's a ship I did sideways. I thought I would turn it. There's another airplane. More pieces. And this is where I'm at right now in my life, where I went in, I wanted to pause this so people understand. Back. Hold on.
I knew who that is
Okay,
in there.
so the word flick is created by a graffiti artist. No matter what they want to say, in like 2002, 3, 4, graffiti artists started to use the word flick. Flick means photography. So I always felt that my photography was for people. So when I put the word on, it's flicks on me. You can go ahead and take it because that's what the internet is, or was before, you know, in the early age. So I created a brand called Flicks on Flash, where, yeah, this is where I'm headed. And my friend there purchased the shirt there, Mersad. I've been purchasing them little by little. And then I give away these Trump bumper stickers that I've been covering up for the past 2 years.
Where'd you find those?
Oh, I had somebody give them to me. I had 300 of them, and they're all from China. And the only one that out of 300 that I didn't cover up, I will get you right now. So these are boxes that came from China, right? How did that get in there?
Dude, you got Trump stickers from China?
Yeah. Look, but look what was in the box.
It said never Trump.
1 out of 300.
Oh, they made one. Oh my God.
One snuck in. Look, I'll show you the Trump one.
Wow, that's cool.
Here.
Keep that one.
Yeah, I'll keep in one of these.
Oh,
These
that's
are-
what they were, and then they snuck one in.
And then there was one never Trump. And I said, it should never happen again. It should never happen that we have such a criminal in the White House. So I took 300 of these, and as you see, I gave them away. I put them up in the street, but I was not going to let anybody get a Vote Trump sticker. And it was insane that I even ran into this. But here we are at Meeting the Styles this year, where I took the T-shirts over. Oh, I didn't want to show that. But this is where I'm at right now. This is all the stuff people leave at Project Logan, okay? And for the past 10 years, I collected. You got 8-tracks, cassette. What is this? An Xbox. I got a couple of cameras in there. And what it is, yeah, like you said, I collected a lot, and I had done a box like this before, and I wanted to do it again. And it only happens if you have the material. So yeah, I want to thank my wife and my family that have allowed me to do all this, because it takes a family to do this. As you see, I got my house looking like a graffiti war room. But I've been allowed to progress as an artist only for the fact that I have a big family support. Oh, she's showing me the fist right now. I don't know if I should give her a prop. Okay.
So I'm gonna turn off your share screen.
Good, do it.
And then we'll have like a discussion. And if people have questions, go ahead. If you don't want to be on video, ask your question in the chat and we'll ask Flash. So can you turn off your share screen, Flash? I mean, I can turn it off, but I was hoping you could. There you go.
Flash did something.
So if anyone has questions, go ahead.
I'm stepping down the screen because I'm trying to drink something.
You look very festive, Flash.
Thank
You
you.
mentioned around 15 years old, you had got your first camera, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, did you get it, or your parents got it for you, or what was that? What kind of, you worked towards it?
What?
Oh, you still got it.
I still got it somewhere. I got it in, you know how you got that 8th grade graduation, and you got
Okay.
that, they used to have after school sales, you know, the flea market sales at the school.
Yeah.
So I got a Vivitar 35 millimeter in 8th grade.
Nice.
That's where I started.
Well, what made you go towards photography first rather than graffiti?
My
Like
mother,
what? Your mother?
yeah, my mother was a photographer. I have pictures of everything in my life. I have pictures of Logan Square that I'd never seen, Humboldt Park. I've always grown up seeing her photographs. My sister is also a huge photographer, although she doesn't want to admit it. So this documentation of life, you know, I've seen it through my mother's eyes, where I can see Puerto Rico. So that's why I try to document everything. It really does come from family documentation.
Mm. What did your mom think of you getting into photography? I mean, the graffiti with you know, the influence, not necessarily the
I knew you
influence,
were
but
gonna go there, man. You know she
no.
didn't like it. She's Puerto Rican.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my God. I come from a military family. My sister
Oh,
was a command sergeant major. So what happened to me is that I rebelled against my whole family. Everybody in my family was military, and my friends and everybody was running around like not. And I didn't want to conform. And my mother to this day hates graffiti. You know, give it up. I got pictures of her at the wall, but she comes to shows. But you know, the pain that we cause her. You remember, you're doing this as a 15-year-old, and you're running the whole city on top of rooftops and running from trains. You know, the first years are not easy. No, Mom, this is not suck you see on my face. I was just down the corner. I was not running tunnels, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's very hard to see the pain that to this day that you caused.
understood.
I had a question. Since I see that you were like published in other stuff, are you considering to doing like a book on your own of like everything that you photographed or
I,
all the things that you documented?
I do want to do a book on. The problem with Chicago is that everybody wants to start a book, and then I've gone into 6 projects where I've donated time, effort, and everything. Project Logan is the one thing that I have that I can't control, that I do want to accomplish. That now that there is an end story, I'm already working on it. I want to do a book about Project Logan, and
I'll help.
I've already asked Gretchen, who's painted and is with Agitator, and people that painted, because it's, to me, it was such a great project. I mean, I can look back at it and say, am I glad it's over? In some cases, yes, because my documentation of the city as a whole was held back by trying to run this wall. If you see the stuff that I showed you, I was all over the city and all over the country before Project Logan, and then I did want to do it because I was so mad at everybody telling me that I couldn't do graffiti in Logan Square, that it belonged on the south side, this, that, every negative thing was thrown at me. And then when I met Tracy, it was like, man, it was like an opening. We back, we doing it. We did what I wanted to do, which was have what was already being done on the south side, rotating the art so that we can progress. There's not one artist on that wall that if you look 10 years ago and you look at his art now, you'll get blown away. I'll give you one, just one, and that's Nerd. You go look at Nerd. He was the first one on that wall. Nerd has been there when the kids don't show up to paint because it's a rotating wall. And he's like, I got you. And he jumps right in. So I'm very appreciative of all the people that are the first people that were on that wall of the first production, because I'm still friends with them today. I can call them out. Unique, B-Boy B, Nerd, Tony Ones,
It's pretty amazing. They're still like pushing and still trying to do stuff too,
And we grew from it. I've grown as an artist. I cannot say that I haven't. If I didn't, I was in the wrong. If you're not in this to progress, and that's what I learned, that even at an old age, that I was so at 40, conform to the corporate world, that when I saw graffiti, I was like, you know what, I can conform to this too. I can go back to this, and I, it's been up and down, but I wouldn't have done it any other way. I opened up that. If you would have known me before, and I can go to any side of the city again, and I love it. And many people don't. Many people don't even know that the South Side exists, and I just love going over there. I love disappearing and going through all these walls and just being. I've pedaled them all. And
there's way more freedom in the South for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then I was gonna ask another question. Are you considering doing another wall? Like, do you want to create another permission wall, or maybe like connect with a business? Because I know some people, like some other crews, have done that too.
I don't really put it out there. I have other walls right now. And I have one on Belmont and Kenneth. I have one by my mother's house. And we don't advertise or rotate those because that's where Flash has to go learn and practice. And if I get the opportunity to do something like Project Logan again, I would really question it, because it is a once in a lifetime thing that I did. Crawford Steel. Crawford Steel is 4 football fields worth of graffiti, and it's run by a crew that lives in that neighborhood. These walls, these permission walls, they have to be run by somebody that lives in the neighborhood. And if you ask me, I felt it in the last few years, having to pedal from Harlem and Irving all the way to Project Logan. I did it. Nobody knew it, but I did it for the last 3 years, and I felt like I was getting every time disattached from the neighborhood. And I've struggled with it, because I've been in Logan Square since '72, and now to say that I'm not part of it, no, I'm still part of it, but do I feel disattached? Oh, yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
Flash, can you talk about the artist Lardo?
No. This is about me, not Lardo. Look at this. Lardo is a gentleman from Des Plaines, Illinois, who for the last 5 years, anytime we needed cleanup, knockdown, anything, he's come. And he paints what he paints. He paints very vibrant colors. He paints and here I am. I'm not an art critic. I'm the first to say that. But he has a following with the young generation that even I don't understand. I'm with you, bro. I don't understand. I got nothing but love for him, but the pigs, man. Oh my God.
Media gets crazy, man. Media gets crazy.
That's how I learned that not to be an art critic in this, because Lardo does come out and gives you his 100%. Whether you think about it or not, he puts a grid up on the wall. He's got it engineered, spaced out. So yeah, there's something about letting artists progress and that's how I took the wall. I did take that attitude of never to say no to anybody. If anybody walked up to me and said, yeah, here's your next step, email me. 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't. You get that one kid, and I've seen them grow up to now that they're men. And that's been one of the hardest things for me is that I've been doing this. This is the second time that I'm doing this in my lifetime. When I did it the first time, 83 to 87. Now it's turned into this lifetime thing that it's been since 2003. And if you don't know, we created a Chicago Graffiti Forum. And on there, that's where we first organized ourselves. We interviewed ourselves. We did everything by ourselves. That when Facebook took all the traffic and we shut it down, we have a place where teachers go and look for content for their students. And that's what I've learned about what we did on there also, because now I have this whole second generation that has grown up, gone to school on the internet, and follow me and Chumbly talking our stupidity on there, and then now they're grown men and productive members of society. And they tell me, yeah, Flash, I remember I was so bored in school. I would click on there and laugh at what you guys, and I learn about graffiti. I think we did something right, because we have a whole generation now that's understand.
Is the Chicago Forum still up? The graffiti forums? Okay.
Yes. It's still up. It still has the interviews. A lot of people go in there and go into a lot of the teachers go in there and for publications, they go into the Chicago old school interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Flash.
My granddaughter came in.
Do you care to comment about any of the drama or conflicts about organizing artists at a wall?
That's part. You ever watch The Wire?
Yes.
All right.
I'm on the last episode on that bitch.
Oh man, look at it's street. The game is the game. If you saw prelude to all their shit, you can never float above it. That's a lot of shit that that happens even at these walls. You're asking one artist to go over another artist who may be having street battles in the street. So we created rules that were already established, and we just emphasized them on the wall. When you go over somebody, you go over them completely. And I only had, in 10 years, I may have only had 3 incidents. And in the 3 incidents, 2 of them are with the old schoolers. So you tell me that, I think the task was accomplished. You got to float above that drama, bro. El bochiche te quiere con todo el mundo. Any other questions?
I think we're going to wrap up some questions. So if you have a question, ask it now. The recorded part of the stuff, then we're going to stop recording.
Can you talk about a little bit how Project Logan, that location started, how you made that connection? Because I've always walked past it, but I sometimes forget like how Tracy has the, everything up there and you are connected to it. I don't know a lot about it, that history exactly.
So there is no Project Logan without AnySquared. And I want people really, really to understand that, because I made the mistake of calling it the 10-year anniversary this year, and it's the 10-year anniversary of AnySquared. When I first walked up to that wall, it was during the Milwaukee Avenue Arts Festival 2011, and Tracy was out there.
2010, yeah, 2010.
10 or 11, and Tracy was doing the mural with the kids. There was people doing sculpture art on that grassy knoll. People were picking up garbage and everything, and I was like, man, this is what I want to be part of. The energy that was coming from there was like something. So me and Tracy had always, I don't even know how far we go back, but we go
2008.
back. 2008. We go back. So I'm looking at her do all this work by herself, as always. And I did 2 Milwaukee Avenue Arts Festivals with her. And the first one, we got kicked out and then the second one we came back and did it in Logan Square. So I saw her working on the one side, and I knew that the wall had history. If most people don't know, it's the Bombers. It's by the train line. So Rel was there for many years. Even on the backside in 1979, when Pink Floyd released the Wall album, the gang that was in the neighborhood came and did the Pink Floyd album and put the little character and put the loop. So the wall's always been about art. So I started to tell Tracy, hey, why don't we just go over the other sides? And she's like, well, that takes too much energy. Because if you don't know, Tracy's side is like a facade that's real rocky. So
Yeah.
it takes a lot of work to cover it. Project Logan on the other side, those were smooth walls. So just butter. So I told her, I bet you I got a community that can rotate it once a month and even twice a year. And she's like, I don't believe you, but I believe you could do it. So that's where we went. We started right there. And I started only with the front panel. And I did go to Momentum and Made You Look. And they did the first one. You'll see that it was a green B-boy. And then I started seeing on the internet that the green B-boy wall. I started getting names like the green, even across the lines. I was like, wow. So I knew I had to pick a name real quick before somebody else named it, because the one thing that I noticed about in all of this is that no matter what, as a graffiti artist, we've been on the internet longer than anybody, and we know how to market ourselves. We know how to get our word out. And that's the one thing that I didn't know that we had that kind of power until you actually see it in the streets.
Andrew had a question, but he was having problem with his audio. He said, would you ever like to do art in other major cities like New York or LA?
I think that's where I want to go next. You know, I do want to go to the Venice Beach Wall. I want to go to New York. I think that's what artists are supposed to do, is leave the city and progress and venture off. I always wanted to do that, and I see other artists doing this. So yes.
Yeah, I want to ask, before this started recording, you and Tracy were talking about people wanting you to be in their written history of Logan Square, and then you guys were like, oh no, we wouldn't want to, you know, you choose not to be a part of certain things.
Well, Flash did, but I didn't.
Sure. I wasn't, I'm not sure of who exactly what.
Well, the problem with Logan Square is
is
that everybody wants its history. And its history changes so fast that, you know, you can write a dozen books about every block on Logan Square, because every block has a different story. And it's just the way things were.
You ever worry about being left out of the history, or other people coming in like the?
Oh, that's why I'm out here. Spray can art. It was a perfect example where we saw a piece that, you know, I actually put paint on the wall, and other, you know, Trickster got credit, and much love to Trickster, but we as a crew did that. And when we saw that, this is, you know, Harry Chiffon. This is a book that everybody to this day talks about, and we're not even mentioned. And you came and took the photographs of Logan Square. You don't even know that there was somebody else that did it. So I'm always worried about history. I'm a history buff. I love history. I hate when history gets twisted and turned. One of my favorite books that my wife got me many years ago. How many documentaries have been made off of this book? This is Ken Burns. I've read it back and forth. I know about the Civil War. And my wife gave me this book years ago. I see the documentaries now. I say, oh, that's in that book. I'm a fan of history, and I'm a fan of books. That's why I showed you the publications that I'm in.
Well, what do you think of like the newer generations? Let's talk about like people gentrifying the neighborhood and creating this mythos of Logan Square. Like, how do you feel about being represented in there?
You know, you can only represent yourself. What I represent is the change of the past, where you couldn't walk in Logan Square. those people. They want to talk to me, I'll tell them you're blessed to be able to walk down Milwaukee and Spalding, walk in Schubert, or any of those areas, because it wasn't the neighborhood that I grew up in. But ask me if I wanted that in the 90s when they put a gun to my wife's head, you know, and robbed her. You know, we wanted change. Nobody wants, you know, to be robbed and humiliated and anything at gunpoint. And that's what happened. And I hope that that's what we changed in Logan Square, that they could go ahead and say, yeah, we're now gentrified, but you wouldn't have gotten gentrified if it wasn't for us, you know, ignoring the gangs and ignoring the violence that was going on and creating this and helping this movement that I feel that I'm only that little piece of.
On that note, we're going to wrap up the recorded session, and then we're just going to have a discussion, just us hanging out.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Thank you, everybody, for coming in and viewing this. I really do appreciate what we're doing in Logan Square. I love AnySquared, and I love Project Logan, and I love all the people that I have met through this.
Thank you, Flash, for doing this. Thank you for doing this.
All right.
Good job. Good
Thank
job.
Yay.
I gotta take a
What we're gonna do right here is go back.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Yeah. Woo. I want love. Yeah. Oh. I want love. Amor mío, tienes que sentir. Todo de mi corazón es para ti. Amor mío, yo te quiero más. Cada nuevo día más y más y más. Yeah, I want your love. Yeah, I need your love. Yeah, I want your love. Yeah. Anybody in the place wanna rock the damn house? Say rock the house. Rock the house. If you know how to house, somebody say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Jam. Jam. You ain't hip to the word house music? Get up already. Kick drum. Question, do anybody know how to house? Yeah! Then get with it. We gotta rock this party. Everybody jump up and get down. We gotta jack this mother. We gotta jack this party. We gonna rock this party. Gotta rock up the door. And there's a flat horns. You ain't hip to the jack. Cool now. Get up already. Damn. Horns. We gotta rock this place. Tim Mike.
C.
we're gonna do right here is go back.
Relax, don't do it when you wanna go to it. Relax, don't do it when you wanna come. Relax, don't do it when you wanna suck it to it. Relax, don't do it when you wanna come. When you wanna come. Come. Come.
Oh yeah, rock it, baby. Oh yeah. Will they tell me of a pie up in the sky, waiting for me when I die? But between the day you're born and when you die, you see they never seem to hear your cries. And as sure as the sun will shine, I'm gonna get my share now. What's mine? And then the harder they come, the harder they fall. Wanna know? What I say now? What I say now? The harder they come, the harder they fall. Wanna know? Well, the oppressors are trying to keep me down. They're trying to keep me down, trying to drive me underground. And they think that they have got the battle won. They think they got it. 'Cause I give them low, they know not what they've done. And as sure as the sun will shine, I'm gonna get my share now. What's mine? And then the harder they come, the harder they fall. Wanna know? What I say now, what I say now, the harder they come, the harder they fall. Wanna know? Gonna be alright, gonna be alright, gonna be alright. Yeah, yeah,
Check social media for future Zooms and future streams. Next week, we're featuring Monstro Chica.